Welcome to episode 6 of Regina District Industry Education Council Entrepreneurial Spotlight. Today I have a very special guest. Noor is here. Noor, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I am a student at the University of Regina, and I'm also currently running my own startup.
But that's not the only thing you do.
No.
Born and raised in Ontario.
Yes.
What did you do as a kid? What is something you still do? One of your favorite hobbies? The way I met you was online. You were dancing.
Dancing, yeah.
And so, do you call yourself a hip hop dancer?
I think I'll just call myself a dancer. But yeah, I kind of grew up. So I am from Ontario. I grew up in Mississauga. I've been in Regina for about 6 years. But yeah, growing up and exactly how we met, you probably saw me through Vibe So IQR, which I am involved with in the city. But yeah, I grew up dancing hip hop in Mississauga. I remember after school, we would all get together and we'd literally like have dance ciphers. And it wasn't anything that was ever formal. It wasn't something that we went to a studio and trained on. It was something that was kind of emerging. Wasn't really in studio culture, still isn't, I would say, in Regina, Saskatchewan, but it's definitely emerging. That culture is showing up now. But that's just a hobby that I've kept throughout. And I think, you know, being a student, having a startup, you need some sort of outlet, you need some sort of hobby that you stick with. So, you know, whenever I'm having a really stressful time and things get overbearing, I'm like, all right, guys, let's dance. Or, you know, like, I can't wait for the next Vibes class. It's just to keep that balance.
You're in school.
Yeah.
You dance regularly and you run a startup.
Yeah.
Do you have any free time at all?
I do. I don't know how, but I do. I think that there's actually, like, people always ask me that question because I do work jobs on the side as well. So I do work for the University of Regina in the sustainability office. And yeah, so I do little projects with that too. But I think it's, once you're passionate about something and you're enjoying it, and this is so corny to say, you honestly don't get as drained. So that's what I found.
It's not corny at all. This is, I think, what we need to tell, I think, a lot of people is that if you love something, it's not work anymore. You can sink your life and soul into it.
Exactly. So dance is an outlet. It's super fun. It gives me energy. Studying what you like is super important. So if you're not really drained, you're learning new things and you're actually excited about them. And you're like, wow, that's super cool. Like, of course, I'm not going to lie and say, like, you know, engineering is like totally, you know, the easiest breeze. But
like, put your glasses up, you nerd.
But it definitely is hard work, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And when you have those long days, you just know that you're doing something productive and something you love. So I think that's what kind of fuels you. But
Very
yeah,
cool. So let's talk about the startup now.
Yeah.
When did the idea come up, and have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur, or was this like a kind of light bulb moment of, oh my God, I need to do this?
I think, so I'll start off with what my startup really is and how it emerged, and then I'll go on to, you know, when that light bulb went off of being an entrepreneur. So basically 2 students and I, so Tinsai Alamu and Arslan Azim, we were in Enactus Regina together.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Campbell Biz.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah. So we were in Enactus Regina together. So we already knew each other from before. And I noticed all 3 of us had a common theme of, you know, always wanting to find a new project or finding new competitions. So what we would do is, you know, we would enlist in a bunch of competitions that were going on. So International Institute of Sustainable Development was hosting a aqua hacking challenge for the Lake Winnipeg watershed. And they basically put a prompt out and they said, you know, these are the areas that need help. So we did drinking water quality and, you know, pitch an idea, and it's a national competition. So we said, why not? And for a while I had been researching water quality control. That's pretty much what I major in as well. Same with Tinsai. So we had a little bit of background and we were really passionate about it. And we actually, when we applied, we were like, oh, this is a national competition. Like, we're not gonna make it. Like, we were like, this is not.
Classic Saskatchewan attitude.
Saskatchewan attitude. Like, we're like, there's people from BC, there's people from Toronto, like, there's no way. And, you know, we were just like, you know what, just do it. Like, we know we're passionate about what we're doing. We know we have that background. Let's just do it. So we applied, all 3 of us, and we pitched. And we ended up making top 5 nationally. So yeah, so it was just a moment of wow, like what was that differing factor? Like what was it that really brought us there? And then we realized, we took a step back, that we were really passionate about what we were doing. And this isn't something we just did because of the competition. This is something we've been researching and looking into.
You had a good line about profitability when you were first starting out. You said something about like, this has nothing to do with that. We're helping get people water.
Yeah.
And it was such an honest, that's such a cool.
So basically what we pitched, so they found that in the northern parts of the watershed that don't have road access, so they actually have to ship out their samples through mail, rail, or plane. And you can imagine in the winters when the plane doesn't get sent out in time, or with, you know, the pandemic, like we already heard Canada Post is having a hard time with deliveries or delivery time. They actually have to ship their water samples to an accredited lab in Winnipeg to test for total coliforms and E. coli, which are like notorious, and they're really dangerous to have in your water streams. So what we saw was a huge problem. We said people are not getting adequate, you know, drinking water. They're not getting tested regularly. Like that's very scary. Like we could open our tap and drink our water and be okay because we're in the city.
That's something we take for granted, I
exactly.
think, for sure.
So we felt that we didn't see it as a business opportunity. We saw it as an emergency response to a public health problem. So we're like, we need to do this. So
this isn't a company, this is a calling.
Yeah, this is definitely, I mean, that's what engineers do. We find problems and we find solutions to them. So we're becoming an accredited localized lab testing service that tests for those total coliforms and E. coli bacterium in the water. And we also have a web map that would display water quality nationally, which we find is lacking right now. So
wow,
it's a lot to take in, but it just comes from a place of passion.
So when you placed top 5 and you know this is becoming a real thing, what was the conversation around the team? Were you guys still in that like, are they sure it was us?
Yeah,
or at that point where you're saying, we actually have something here that could go to market?
We were always confident that the solution was very viable, but we were also a little nervous because we didn't have that business background. So that's where we kind of were like, okay, you know, this competition, we see a lot of people have very profitable products, but we're just kind of finding a solution and, you know, reducing the cost by 6 times the amount, and we haven't really thought about how much we're going to make from it. And we're not seeing it as a way that we would profit, or we don't see dollar signs when we see the solution.
But you reduced how to do it by 6 times. Like
yeah,
6 times
the amount. Yeah.
And so right there, in like my business mind goes, oh, there's definitely a business outcome.
Oh yeah,
not right away, because a startup doesn't produce anything right away.
Exactly.
But the topic being people before profits.
Yeah.
This is, to me, is like such a case study of find the solution. Don't worry about the business outcome.
Exactly.
Solve the problem. Solve it even better. Solve it more efficiently. Then eventually people are going to ask you, hey, can we buy that?
Exactly. And I think that's what's like super important is I tell people all the time, you know, like they say, oh, well, how did you pitch that idea? How did you get there? And I was like, find something you really care about and, you know, find the solution to it. It doesn't have to be, you know, saving the planet, but if you are passionate enough about it, that's going to show. And that's the one feedback that we got from every judge was, you guys are really passionate about this. You guys really care about this. So yeah, there might be 10 other people that are pitching the same idea, but when you're transparent and honest and you really feel like that's the solution and you have what it takes, then I think that, you know, you're already winning.
Yeah, because they're investing in the people, not the actual
Yeah.
outcome. Oh, I used to say things like, I only do things that I can brag to my mom about.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like, around the dinner table, the first time that you would have told your parents that, like that to me is like a huge pride moment of like, you said like you don't have to be saving the world, but I'm like, indirectly though, it makes us all feel good when we're a part of something that's like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a moment, and maybe not just even in this project, but even going into engineering, did you ever have a moment where you wanted to quit or when life was getting too much where you wanted to just say, you know what, I just want to shut her down and do something else?
Oh, definitely. I think
you roll your eyes and you're like, oh, well, yeah, obviously, like who hasn't had that?
Yeah, no, I think especially when, and I think I noticed this theme, and I don't know if this is just me putting everyone into a category, but I always found that I wanted to apply my knowledge. I wanted to do something. I had the solution. I just wanted to do it. I didn't want to go through, you know, you're in the workplace, you have to go through certain processes to maybe get your project running or idea running. But I was like, I know what to do and I just want to do it. And you get a little sidetracked. Again, I got a little sidetracked in my own education because I was always trying to find these solutions. And of course it's helpful, but it's like, all right, you also have to balance your school. So I remember there being a very definitive moment, and I think it was after my first year where I was like, is this what I want to do? Do I want to become a full-time engineer, work my 9 to 5? Do I want to, you know, be so invested in my studies that I'm not caring about my passions, which is, you know, clean drinking water? But then I realized that the balance is the key. You essentially would need that education.
You're like, what happened in that moment? After that year, were you?
I definitely took a break. So I took a couple months off. I'm gonna be completely honest, my grades weren't the best either. And I needed that break and I needed that time to really figure out what I'm passionate about. And, you know, I think when I got that in line that, yeah, I do want to be an engineer, an environmental one. I do want to solve these problems and I will need this degree in order to excel in this area. So yeah, I got back at it and I found when you have that clarity, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Because you have a goal. So yeah, there was definitely that moment.
So many good moments there of if you need a break, take a break. And
100%.
Marks, academic probation 3 times over.
Yeah, like 100%. I honestly believe that. And if you need that break, like people like to compare themselves like, oh, my friends are going a year ahead. Oh, my friends have graduated. It's not about that, you know, like I've noticed, I see my friends graduating, but then I'm here, but I'm also having my own startup. So it's just such a balance. Like, what do you want to do? Like go at your pace. Like I honestly preach that so much. You have to go at your pace.
That is such good advice.
Yeah.
And it's heartwarming to ask you that question and you're just like, you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's like, I as an engineer running a startup, like it's almost like you're on a pedestal and I'm like, is there holes in her wings? Like, is she unstoppable?
No, there's many.
Okay, next question's about culture.
Okay.
How do you look at culture within a startup and for the experience you've had now? On the other side too, I think there's a really cool side of hip hop culture and what you do and why I love following the Vibes YQR Instagram account.
Yeah.
You obviously understand, call it a cool factor, but how do you look at culture? Is that something you worry about, or is that more of a personal thing within you and the founders?
I think culture is important, and I guess more so the environment that you set up. I like to do things very relaxed. I like to make things easy for myself and people that are working with me. I realize we're all new at this. I realize that we're all students and we're all learning. So definitely something that we've tried to streamline. It's only 3 of us right now, but the one thing we all believe in is, you know, we're friends at the end of the day. We're students at the end of the day. We want to be relaxed. We're not going to be coming at each other's head when something doesn't go right. We're all passionate about this thing. It's going to work out. Just keeping it very casual and very respectful, and also just having a good time while you're doing it. I guess that's the main thing. We're very relaxed. I've noticed us 3, we're even like looking at hiring interns and even talking to them. They're like, oh, like, do you want us to do this? Oh, we don't have a lot of experience in this field. And we're like, it's fine. We're learning too. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm Bill Gates. Like, I don't know what I'm doing either.
Well, there's a part of me that it's, even before this interview, I'm like, it's intimidating. You run a startup, you're an engineer. To me, that's like recipe for high-strung, get everything done. Like, Jeff, when's my interview gonna start?
No.
The first thing you said to me, you're like, this will be one of your most relaxed interviews.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that, because the people we get to work with at times, you don't know what kind of day they're having.
Exactly.
And I love the attitude of, we're all students, we're all learning.
Yeah.
That allows you to make mistakes here and there.
Exactly.
And if that happened, it's more of like a microphone didn't work. That's okay.
Yeah.
No one died.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I think you create a culture that people want to be a part of when you're doing that. And it sounds like you guys respect each other so much.
Yeah.
That you're okay to goof off a little and have some fun with what you're doing.
And there have been so many moments where it's like, oh, how do we not have that done yet? Or like, you know what I mean? We get so caught up, or like, not everything's perfect. I remember like going through the pitch the day before, And I'm just like, how am I up at 2 a.m.? This is so honest. How am I up at 2 a.m. still making edits to this pitch? Like, this is not good. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, that happens. Like, that's real. That's how, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, I prepared a week before and I was so ready. It's like, no, I was like,
but you cared enough to do that.
But I cared enough to do it,
and
yeah.
that's the bigger picture of
yeah.
I think what I want some of the students to get out of this is to understand where you're at when you're making these decisions.
Yeah.
You're busy with school. You're busy with work on the side.
Yeah.
You want to be hanging out with friends and family, but it's almost like there's a voice inside you saying, we need to do this. You need to do this. Because that's the only way I can justify you but being on at 2 a.m. doing something that really, I mean, I wouldn't touch PowerPoint after school.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Now maybe shifting gears a little bit, what would you say to yourself 5 years ago? What would that, or better yet, what would the person 5 years ago say to you now?
I think.
Did you see yourself doing this?
Oh no, I didn't. I thought I'd be slamming my head against the computer and like questioning if this is what I wanted to do. But no, it's definitely. I would be really proud of myself. I think if I saw myself 5 years later, because I was really defeated after high school and when I first entered engineering, because the first year is just basic engineering courses and it is a lot of hard work and you're transitioning from high school to university. There's so much going on and it is very overwhelming. So I was really overwhelmed and I was feeling very defeated. But I think, you know, taking that break and taking that step back and just realizing things will fall into place if you like what you're doing and if you're passionate about it. So it kind of worked itself out and I'm grateful for that. But I wasn't always sure and I wasn't always motivated and I wasn't always like, yeah, I'm going to be a successful entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm going to be a successful student. But yeah, I think just having hope that, yeah, you'll figure it out. You know, you're 18, 19, now I'm 23. Yeah, that's my age.
Wait a minute.
The engineer doesn't know math, but yeah, like,
she's too laid back.
She's too laid back. Doesn't know. But yeah, so yeah, it's gonna be okay, and everyone grows at their own pace. Everyone learns at their own pace. So you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna figure out what you like. If you don't know it right now, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you did start almost going in different directions, just to keep your options open.
Oh, like I definitely did.
Like, there's a part of me that you still have options.
Yeah.
But I do like that after you took the break, what you wanted to accomplish, you couldn't do without your education.
Exactly.
So it was almost like a self-selecting. I don't want to do this the rest of my life, but to do this, I'm going to need something in between.
Exactly.
That's a really self-aware moment.
Yeah.
That I hope most students will take the time to take that break to talk to themselves.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now?
That's a interesting question. I think so much has turned around in the last year. So it's I'm just even thinking 6 months ahead. I'm like, what are we doing with the business 6 months from now? But maybe 5 years from now, I definitely, in terms of our business, we do want to expand nationally. So we are starting in Manitoba, but we need water security all throughout Canada. And in terms of myself, just I guess sticking with the passion and the morals that I have with this startup is, you know, clean drinking water. It's not about the money. It's not about the profit. It's about really finding those solutions to things that we need solved. And I think the definitive moment for me when I realized that's what I want to do is realizing how privileged I was. You know, I was the first one in my family that was born in Canada. So we originate from Pakistan. And if you ever go back home and you see how some places don't have adequate drinking water, or they don't even have the access to education. My sister and I, we used to have a Citizens Foundation running at the University of Regina where we would raise money for schools to be built in Pakistan. And when we saw that, man, like, it's really a privilege to be sitting in Regina, Saskatchewan, or wherever you are and getting that free education and then getting the opportunity to do some post-secondary. I think that was when I kind of woke up and said, you know, I have this privilege, I have the access to it. I need to use this education and do something for the better. So I think 5 years from now, I hope I still remind myself that that's why I'm doing this and that's why I should keep doing it.
Wow. Yeah. I love the story of where you came from, and if you went back there, There was a developer that worked for Microsoft on their AI car because he lost his parents to a driver that basically lost control of the car, that if AI was in control of the car, his parents would still be there.
Exactly.
So I love attaching a passion that's something personal, where you come from. I like that idea that we may not solve the problem, but if you help with water security even by 1%, you could actually equate to how many lives that's impacting and how many lives you're saving.
Exactly.
Like, without getting emotional, that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
What would be one thing you'd say to a grade 12 student graduating in a pandemic?
The pandemic has been tough on everybody in terms of even our mental health and our motivation. I know some days you're just sitting in bed doing school. I mean, I was taking courses over the summer and it's like, this feels very, very strange. You know, it's a different time for sure. But I think taking the time, you have a lot of time to yourself. I notice when I can't go out as much and I can't be out and about socializing, there's a lot of time to reflect. And it's bittersweet. It could be very, you know, detrimental when you have too much time to think, but also let's take that time and really use it to reflect. And this is a huge part of your life. This is what you're deciding to do for the next 4 or 5 years. Either that's, you know, educating yourself more or just going out and working. Create that action plan, see what you're passionate about. I have friends that do want to start businesses and they say, you know, but there's so many people doing the same thing. But I'm like, but what you're doing is what you're doing. You need to realize that it's very personal. Are you passionate about it? Do you think your solution is the most viable? Have you done the research? Have you put in the work? And they say yes. And I said, well, that's enough. That's enough to take that first step and start. So I would say maybe take that time to reflect, really find out what you're passionate about and just continue forward with it.
Too cool. If people want to connect with you, how do they find you?
That's a good question. I don't use social media that much. My LinkedIn, Noor Tajik.
You can't find me.
Yeah, no.
LinkedIn, cool.
Yeah, LinkedIn. As lame as that sounds, yeah, I don't. But yeah.
Can we follow Water Secure anywhere?
Yeah, you can. It's sublinked to my LinkedIn, but it's just Water Secure.
We can find it in there too.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh my God, thanks so much.
Yeah,
anything you want to say to people of Saskatchewan?
People of Saskatchewan or students, I would say take it easy. Don't rush. Find what you like and do it, because life is so much easier when you're doing what you love. You don't have to save the planet. Trust me, I know I've been just preaching that this whole time, but you know, just go out there, have fun. You will fail. I failed multiple times, but you just gotta get back up, keep at it, and you'll find something.